What's going on, everyone? My name's Eric, and today on the channel I have the privilege of showing you and being able to be one of the first people to demo this super sick and probably best looking distortion pedal that I have ever seen in my years as a guitar player. This is the Pepto pedal, and this has been made from my good friends at Chibson in collaboration with Daredevil Pedals from Chicago. I want to give a huge shout out to Jason at Chibson, who actually sent this over to me. Him and I met back at NAMM. We managed to get this on the channel here. This is the very first one, and this is the actual launch date of this pedal, which is a very fitting date given the nature of Chibson. If you know, you know. So with all that being said, we're going to do a deep dive on this pedal today, but before we do any of that, we're going to hear how this pedal sounds in a full demo mix. And that was the Chibson Pepto pedal in a full demo mix. I had my LSL baritone guitar tuned to drop A, went straight into this pedal, which was set as you're going to see on screen, and that was the main distortion for the overall tone. Went into the green channel of my 5150 Iconic, then going out of the 5150 into a 2-notes captor, then into a custom IR, and that is the guitar tone. So now, if you know me, you know I like humor, and I like puns, and I like all things guitar related, and of course, the one company that nails all of that in one fell swoop is Chibson. Chibson has made other guitar pedals in the past, and they've had them based around like puns and different kinds of actual guitar effects, whether they are delay or like some modulation. And they're also mainly known for their merch and their memes on their Instagram and their social media pages, which are absolutely hilarious. And when I was able to meet up with Jason and exchange information and get to know each other, we were then talking about this pedal, and out of nowhere we were able to get one on the channel. Today is the first day that you can actually go out and buy these pedals if you like what you hear. So I do want to give a huge shout out to Jason for including me in the launch of this pedal. Now, getting into the nitty gritty of this pedal, this is a distortion pedal. It's a very simple layout, and sometimes less is more. We got just a regular MXR, like push button style operation to turn the pedal on and off. We have our yellow LED down here. Input, we have a 9-volt DC plug on the side. You can't run this pedal off of a battery. I will show that on screen. There is nowhere to plug in the battery even when you take the back off. We then have our output on the side here. We then have 3 controls that are so well named in true Chibson fashion. We have the indigestion, which is your volume. Obviously you turn it up all the way and you get full pedal volume. You turn it down all the other way, 0 volume. Right in the middle, we have our tone control, which is appropriately labeled as the nausea. So the higher you turn it, the more of that frequency you're going to get dialed in, and the more you bring it back, the less you're going to have of that. I'm not 100% sure on what the frequency Q is, or like that EQ notch. So based on the demos that you were going to hear later on where I am going to be messing with these controls, let me know in the comments below if you have a really good ear for that stuff, but otherwise it's just a regular tone control. And last but not least, the best named control on this pedal, this is diarrhea, and this is your distortion. And obviously the less distortion that you have is going to be the least amount or the cleanest signal. You can see where we're going here with this. And the more distortion and, you know, the more of what you've probably had at some point in your life, the more nastier it's gonna be. So take all that for what you will. But yes, in true Chibson fashion, this checks out. and at Chibs. And once again, this is made in collaboration with Daredevil Effects. They are based out of Chicago, and they are going to be making all of these pedals here. So if you are very familiar with Daredevil Effects, you're going to be getting the same high quality standard that you'd be getting on this Chibson pedal if you are so familiar with those Daredevil pedals. This is my first experience with a actual Chibson like hardware guitar product and the actual Daredevil Effects pedal. So what I can tell you right now is that this pedal is very solid. Feels really quality here. Nothing feels cheap or flimsy. And yeah, this is a real solid pedal. I bet I could do a lot of gigs with this and really not have any issues. I think this is going to hold up really well if you are going to be throwing this on your pedal board, which you probably should, because look how great this thing looks. So now we're going to hear the Chibson Pepto distortion pedal in a couple different contexts. The first one that we're going to hear is this pedal in front of my 5150 Iconic. And I'm going to be using this pedal on the green channel of the Iconic just as I did in the demo song. And then I'm going to mess around with the controls so then you can hear how this pedal is going to affect the sound of an already semi-distorted signal. So now we're going to hear the Pepto pedal in front of a preamp bass pedal, and this is to give players an idea who actually use stomp boxes as their main distortion and their main guitar tone. last but not least, we're going to hear this pedal going straight into one of my plugins. I actually dialed the gain way back on one of my main rhythm patches for a plugin that I use, and then I just wanted to give you all an idea of how well this fares up if you don't have tube amps, or if you don't actually have like a pedal board based guitar rig, so then you can actually use this with your favorite plugins that you might be using for a home recording situation. So at the end of the day, what do I think about the Chibson Pepto pedal? And this is coming from someone who's really grown up with overdrives, and I have a lot of experience with like one particular distortion pedal as a coloring and like as a tool, but never as like the main sound, which is kind of what I really wanted to push myself to get out of this pedal here. A few things that I will say about the pedal that I like already is that it's a compact design, it feels really quality, it's a really solid design. Just engaging and disengaging the pedal, like that feels really quality. The parts are all really solid, like spinning the controls here, they all feel really solid. Like it's not a cheap pedal, it feels really good. I'm not too sure how much these pedals are going to retail for, that'll all be linked down below. So now getting to the tone of this pedal totally made me play in an entirely different way. The kind of tones that I normally go for are the very high gain, super articulate, really percussive style of guitar tones and like overall distortion that I really go for. Whereas this really made me change my playing style and what I wanted to write when actually writing the demo song for this. I really found this is going to be catered really well to a lot of like the doom, the sludge, and a lot of the slower kinds of music as well, and especially for the heavier styles that I really found sounded really great for this. And if, you know, maybe I didn't demo a sound that you liked, go grab this pedal and demo it for yourself, because this thing sounds great at the end of the day. I also found the nausea or the tone setting here. This also got pretty shrill the more you turned it up. It kind of had like a weird like wet, slappy kind of texture to it, and you know, based on the packaging, I don't know, maybe it's referencing something. So it kind of had some interesting high-end frequency characteristics the more you turned it up. I really found for my ears and my setup and how I ran my amp that if I turned it all the way like kind of down for the most part, and I cranked the output and I turned the gain all the way down, that is more up my alley. And as I demoed earlier, like with the gain maxed out and the volume maxed out and this thing whole like all dimed out, like this thing can sound pretty insane, and it did make me like really smile and laugh a lot, and in a really good way. It sounds really great. It's tones that I have not really used a ton, and it just made me like really want to get into more styles of music like this. I also found that this pedal was maybe a little bit particular with what kind of amps you were using it with. Like I tried this with my Mesa dual rectifier, and the pedal didn't mesh with it too well in my opinion for my particular applications. Like maybe your mileage will vary if you get this pedal and you have it with a rectifier, but again, I really found this pedal sounded amazing right out of the bat on the green channel with the 5150 Iconic, or probably any sort of 5150. The gain up just a little bit, and yeah, that sounded really great for me. And with other amps, maybe I just need to spend a bit more time dialing them in, but otherwise, right out of the gate, just green channel, a little bit of gain, and do this as the rest of your gain, and that sounded fantastic. So if you have that, give that a shot as well. I will say I'm also really impressed with how this sounded with like the preamp pedal and the actual plugins that I used as well. Like this is a really versatile pedal. It made me play a little bit differently and write some music that I generally wouldn't write too much, kind of sounding a little bit more sludgy and doomy. And I do want to emphasize that the settings that I really stuck with for a good chunk of the video is like that's what just sounded really good to me. I encourage you, go buy this pedal if you like what you heard in this video and you want to actually make it your own. Mess with it. Like even though there's only 3 controls, like there's a good amount of tonal availability and tonal options that you can get with this pedal. And also last but not least, because a lot of us are still pretty young at heart, the fact that this is, you know, based around a giant fart joke it's kind of right up my alley. Like middle school me is laughing at this and still having a great time with this. Again, huge shout out to Jason from Chibson for sending this over and having me as part of the launch for this pedal. Like, it's greatly appreciated, and yeah, this is a sick pedal, pardon the pun, and I can't wait to use this pedal in way more context for different videos going forward here. And that's gonna do it on today's video, checking out the Chibson Pepto Distortion pedal. If you learned something new, make sure you let me know in the comments below, and if you like certain parts of the video and anything related to do with this pedal or Chibson, make sure you let me know